everybody. Our next guest is a two-time Academy Award-winning and 11-time Grammy Award-winning musician and songwriter, and the youngest person ever to win a Grammy Award for Producer of the Year. He composed the score for the second season of Beef, which is streaming on Netflix. Let's take a look.
Josh! Josh!
Please welcome to the show, Phineas, everybody. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, Seth. How's your day going?
It's going good, thank you. All the better now.
Yeah.
So, are you somebody, I mean, obviously, like, music is a giant part of your life. Are you someone that, for the entirety of your life, has been, like, sort of tuned in to the score of movies and television shows you've watched?
I think the short answer is yes, like without knowing it as a little kid. But I remember many years ago now, a friend of mine, Connor, coming over and sitting at the piano and playing something, and I was like, oh my, it was like it was my Rosebud Citizen Kane moment. And it was just the Shire theme from Lord of the Rings. That was what he was playing. Yeah.
And so that was like, that unlocked something.
Yeah, I'm like a score sleeper cell. Yeah.
See, I mean, I feel like score is for, maybe the layman like myself.
Sure.
You notice them when they're great, and then otherwise you sort of forget that they're actually happening because they do try to be a little bit invisible. They're trying to influence your mood and sort of support the scene. How much of it are you thinking about that? Like when you want people to sort of notice? Like obviously what the clip we saw, like that's, there's a broadness to that, but of course over the course of a whole season it can't be that the whole time.
Right, and it shouldn't. You should get lost in the great writing and the great performances, and that's totally fine. And it is a little bit of a sometimes, especially when you're in the editing room, it's a little bit of an ego death because you've worked really hard on the music and you're excited for them to hear it, and then they play it. They've turned it so low and there's like the dialogue over it, and you're sitting there and you're like, can you turn it up? You know what I mean? But it's like, that's ridiculous. So that's fine. It all makes you better.
I've always wanted to ask somebody who does this the question I'm about to ask, which is how many times do you have to watch the scene before you can sort of compose the music for it?
I mean, to me, I am interested in my first reaction to it. So I start working like the first or second time I'm watching it.
Yep.
And you make mistakes, and you end too early or too late, and so then you refine and you refine and you refine. It's like a pottery wheel, right? It's just going around in your hands. But by the end, you are like I could do a Beef season 2 Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like I could say every line of the whole show. I could like mime all of their movements.
Yeah.
I've seen it a lot of times.
When they were like turning your music too low, you should have offered that. You'd be like, what if I do all the voices?
Yeah. Yeah, I can just loop them all in. Yeah, exactly.
You do have a cameo in the show.
Yes.
So they did rope you into acting as well. You're very good, but you're not a nice person. In real life, you are. I'm sorry. I want to make sure we're talking. I felt like you stopped in a way that I worried that you thought I transitioned back to you, the guy. I meant the character you play.
Yeah, I mean, the show takes place at a country club in California. In real life, I live in California. It's plausible that I, in real life, could be at this country club. Hopefully not as plausible that I'd be like being super rude to the general manager and like vaguely racist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a stretch, but fun to play. More fun than if they were like, do you want to play the most benevolent version of yourself? I would feel sort of like more self-conscious about that.
Right.
You know?
It's kind of fun to play something that nobody believes.
Yeah, can you imagine if I was like, can I be awesome? Can I just come in and be
They're like, we have a part for you. You're like, this guy's bad. I want a cool guy who's
Can
nice.
I be the coolest guy?
Could I be a guy who's really good at music?
Yeah. Yeah. What do they say about me after I leave the scene? Are they like, he's so cool?
Yeah, I hate to have notes for what people say after I leave the scene, but I do think they should talk about how cool I was.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about the music for that scene? Do they let you have a hand? I mean, I guess they have to let you score yourself as well.
They sure don't have to let you do that.
Really?
They shoot scenes in silence, obviously, so that they can edit it together. They don't, you don't want any noise at all happening, which is why when you see like a nightclub scene in a movie, just remember while you're watching a nightclub scene that it's the background actors and any, of the principal actors are all like they're all doing that to nothing at all.
Even it's probably worse because I bet there's just like little squeaky sounds
There's
in their
just
feet.
squeaky sounds.
Yeah, just like
exactly. And even if the background actors are trying to like have any kind of improvised conversation, sometimes the AD will be like, "Guys, stop doing that. We can't hear Adam Driver." And so in this scene, we shot it in silence, and then I got the cut back, and they had put in the scene Billy's song "Bad Guy." So not only am I like saying rude, dismissive stuff, but I'm listening to my own music. Awesome. Yeah, but I was very amused. I loved that they did that.
You did. Obviously an incredible cast. You did have a certain non-human role that you were drawn to. There's a dog character in the film. Fantastic.
There is a dachshund actor named Jones in real life.
Burberry in the show.
Playing a character named Burberry. And then playing a second character also. He's playing twins. He's pretty impressive stuff. And truly like some of the most impressive animal acting I've ever seen. And I was in the editing room a lot while we were working on the music, and I said to Sonny, the creator of the show, I was like, "How was working with the dog?" And he was like, "Best actor on the show." He was so floored by this actor. And the dog came to the red carpet and did the red carpet and did interviews on the red carpet where they would like ask a question and then he would just bark once.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. But yeah, we have a little clip of like, I got to do all this music for these amazing actors. I love Oscar Isaac, I love Carey Mulligan, Charles Melton, Kaylee Spaney. It was really just a dream come true of a job. And then there were just these sequences where I was just making all this music for this dachshund.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
I mean, I will say, as a compliment, I feel like this is a clip where you're both crushing it because the dog is maybe sensing danger, and you're really just doing a great job of sort of underpinning how ominous it is. Let's take a look at Burberry. What's the name of the dog in real life? Sorry.
Jones.
Jones and Phineas working together. Great.
Like, he's so clearly having dog thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like for the album, that should be Burberry's Lament.
Absolutely. There's an internal monologue.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's really good. I was wondering, like, how often, what do you listen to? Like, when you're, like working out or, like, even going for a walk, like, I'm assuming you're not listening to your own music. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sometimes I'm listening, but like to make it better.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's work. But like when you're not working, like how do you choose what to consume? And do you ever, I mean, I guess that's the thing, like I love watching, for example, a comedy special, but like I have to be in a perfect headspace to sort of watch it without making it like feel like a professional comparing or obligation. Like, can you get totally out of your head and still just listen to music?
Sometimes, yeah. I think anything that you are a huge, huge fan of that you're picking apart, like you're sometimes like making yourself a less good audience for that.
Right.
So, fair enough. I do listen to a lot of like audiobooks and podcasts and rock memoirs and stuff. Not that that gets you like pumped up in the gym. But
right.
I am sometimes like,
But I think sometimes, like I don't mind anything that like people talking sometimes like helps me forget that I'm like exercise. Sometimes, like when I'm exercising and the song's too good,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not doing a service to it by the way I'm exercising.
Yeah, I was on an acupuncture table pretty recently, and I was like, they put all the little needles in you, and then they're like, okay, we'll be back in 20 minutes, and
Yeah.
you just lie there. And I was like, this is like the first 20 minutes I've thought about stuff and not fed myself like TikToks or YouTube or
Yeah.
podcasts in about 10 years.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah,
All it took was 1,000 needles.
that's all it took. Yeah.
Hey, man, it's always such a pleasure to talk to you, and it's so nice to do it on the show. Thanks so much
Thanks
for
for
being
having
here.
me, man. Appreciate you.
You guys, that's Phineas, second season of Veep, streaming on Netflix now. We'll be right back.